The time for this debate has expired. Honourable members, I therefore call on Members' Order of the Day number 1.
Holidays, full recognition of Waitangi Day and ANZAC Day, amended bill. Interrupted debate on the first reading.
Honourable members, when this bill was last being debated in the House, the Honourable Member Dennis O'Rourke held the floor, and he has 2 minutes and 30 seconds remaining to speak, should he wish to take that opportunity.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
You do? The member is therefore calling. I call the Honourable Member Dennis O'Rourke.
Not compulsory, no, but I certainly want to use the final 2 minutes for this purpose. Just to record that New Zealand First does support the bill, and there are 5 reasons to do so. One is the opportunity for observance by all employees, and that should be something which is primary in the consideration of the bill. Without the opportunity to observe these important days, we don't have a proper system of observance at all. The second reason, Mr. Speaker, relates to fairness. Some employees work on weekend days and some don't. It should be fair between them all. The third relates to consistency. There should be more consistency around which days you can Mondayize and which you can't. Fourthly, we need to enhance the importance of these 2 days. And fifthly, Mr. Speaker, there is no real burden on the economy from doing so. And finally, Mr. Speaker, with only a holiday to be granted in 2 out of 7 years on average, there can be no burden on employers either.
Mr. Speaker.
I call the Honourable Member Colin King.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May I begin by saying that we are on this side of the House voting against this bill, and I want to use the time I have available to actually explain to the other side what I've seen that is lacking. There is obviously a lack of understanding on the other side of the House, on the opposition benches, to the primary industries, which we are very fortunate to have. The effects of such legislation on the primary industries has been perverse for some time. The whole exercise and example around this can be illustrated just as well by looking at ANZAC Day, should it fall on a weekend. There's many employers and employees that are involved in flexible working situations, and I just want to use one that is fairly close to my heart, and that is the wool industry. Now, with regards to the shearing industry, Mr. Speaker, it is not uncommon to be in a situation where workers these days are managing farms, and when it comes down to actually trying to get some cohesion and coordination within a seasonal pressure situation, such events as has been proposed by this bill are nothing but cumbersome and obstructive. For example, a farming business where the employer won't enforce the employees to get the sheep in ready for a Monday start or a Tuesday start. In the event of this bill, what happens? It's a Wednesday start. So there are costs. Now, this is just one example. There's the other situation where there are very often wet seasonal situations whereby a situation comes down to Friday it's been raining for a week, and then you have those situations where the weekend comes right. Nobody's going to start work on Sunday because there's another holiday on Monday. Nobody starts until Wednesday. Now, we are talking about thousands of people who are affected by this situation. So weather-dependent situations do arise. Now, whether it's making of silage, making of hay, or putting in the critical winter crop, which is guided by a situation, we're not talking about 1 day or 2 days here, you're talking about 4 days in effect. And I have seen no indication of consideration from the other side of the House. And in effect, also, this sort of legislation creates inequity around the business model that is operating at the time. It enables an owner-operator to be able to carry on doing their thing, whereas an employer who offers job security to employees is totally put at disadvantage. What these sorts of bills do is you actually create perverse incentives whereby the employer will put employees on subcontracting situations to be able to get around this situation. Now, you may say on the other side of the House that 88% of people come from urban areas and only 12% of people from rural areas. Well, that's not quite the case. And I can say with great pride, that it never happened in my day, and thank goodness it didn't, and it shouldn't be happening today. So when we look at it, work. The popular view is that a holiday is marvellous, but from my own personal experience, a holiday with 4 children was a costly experience. So when you look at the family situation today, it is quite clear that this bill is making a rather complex employment situation even more complex. So it is objectionable that people on the other side of the House in opposition stand in the way of people who want to work. And it's sort of consistent when you stop and think about it, because the opposition finds it better to give away productivity. It is better to give away those opportunities for New Zealand to get ahead. On the National Party side of things here, we are very proud of the work that we have done to try and make sure that this economy grows and goes ahead. So let's just count some of those things. The complexity of this bill does not address the full situation. In the hospitality area, a lot of people have the Mondays off. They work from Tuesdays to Saturday and they will not be covered. So as far as this bill addressing an anomaly, all it does is further create complexity. Within the primary sector, there is some huge problems around the complexity, and today, and it's my day, when the sheep were dry or whether the hay was ready to be made, that is when you should work. So, Mr Speaker, I have no difficulty in opposing this bill.
I call the honourable member Grant